Okay, I know that this is long, long, long overdue, and we have the new infantry commander coming out soon with smite damage, which is way better than this commander, but I finally have gotten around to making a guide on Qubing. I think he's a good commander. We're going to go over if I think he's mandatory or not, but overall, I think he is worth investing in. I invested in him, and he traded pretty well this past KvK for some of my friends who used him, so I wanted to make a guide on his talents, skills, and pairings. I think that it's actually a little unorthodox because of the way that his skill works, so I wanted to bring that to light. Anyway, let's hop into it. Alright, and before we open up into the talents and the pairings and all that good stuff and all the intricate details, I'm just going to say it right off the rip. If you are only using one Cav commander and one Cav pairing, you do not need this commander, okay? You don't. You just don't. Nevsky Joan is the best Cav pairing in the game, and it's really not even close. Joan has anti-synergy with Huo, and Nevsky is just overall better than Huo. The debuff that Nevsky brings is a 45% defense reduction, and I'm not saying slows are bad by any means, but a slow just does not do the same thing. So if you only have one Cav commander, or I keep saying commander, but Cav pairing, you want to use Nevsky with Joan, and that's it. As far as pairings that this commander is really good with, I would say your number one pairing, realistically, is Nevsky, but, I want to say this, but if you are pairing Huo with Nevsky, you've already done something wrong. I'm just saying it how it is. You want to use Nevsky with Joan, and you want to use Qubing with your boy William, okay? This, realistically, is your only other pair. Now, if you don't have William, Minamoto is just fine as a secondary, but generally, you're going to use two Cav marches. It's Nevsky Joan and Qubing with William, and that's just it. That is the meta. That is what you want to be doing. So, knowing what Cav pairings we have now, how much better is this guy than XY? Okay, where's my XY? So, I used XY all last KvK with purple gear, crit purple, standard gear with one drums, I think, and he traded really well. My XY traded very, very, very well. And the AoE and the AoE debuff is fantastic on XY. I was about halfway into investing with Qubing until I was like, do I really need to? Because XY is great. And so this kind of leads into my next topic, which is unless you have gold heads to spare and you are caught up with the meta already, if you have XY, you don't need Qubing, okay? XY, one, is better for swarming things, okay? If you're swarming structures, XY is better, okay? You know why? Because this skill actually takes effect. So this skill, you gain 5% increased damage, and you have instant proc damage. Fantastic, great, it's a fantastic skill. Qubing, however, let's see, there's something where you have to be attacking troops, right? I swear. Okay, this is it. So, the expertise skill on Qubing and its 4 skill do not come into effect, okay? When attacking an enemy troop, that means on the map, cavalry units led by this commander gain 35% increased defense and the skill damage buff, okay? You lose all of that when swarming a structure or rallying. Do not rally or swarm a structure with Qubing if you can. There's no point in it. It's bad. Don't do it, okay? XY is arguably better anyway. When you watch the Osiris League games with 1v and 60 GT, you will actually see more XY than you do Qubing in the field, because XY straight up does more damage over a long fight. If this guy stays alive, he will do more damage than Qubing. Qubing is really only good for the quick hits in and out of combat in the open field. That's it. He sucks for cheeseburgering. It's hilarious when people try to cheeseburger him because this skill just doesn't do anything. And then, I don't know, whatever. I see people doing it. They're just doing it wrong. Sorry, I'm getting a little animated here, but all I'm trying to say is if there's an actual like percentage of how good Qubing is over XY, it is tiny. It is very tiny. And ironically, the only thing that saves it is Nevsky and this skill right here. So with that being said, let's go over the talents and what I think the best talent tree would be based on the commander that you're pairing with. And let's just be very, very straight up here. If you are pairing this with an AoE commander like William, like Joan of Arc, like XY secondary, I don't know, would you do that? Probably not. But like those commanders, this is the talent tree you use. This is pretty standard. I think no one would really argue with this. This is how all Cav builds are built nowadays. But you have to have a commander secondary that is doing AoE damage. Does that make sense? And I'll explain why. But the next tree, oh, and this is going to surprise a lot of people. Oh, yeah. The next tree is the single target tree. So this is the tree that you're going to use when you pair with Nevsky, when you pair with Minamoto, when you pair with Chandragupta, I don't know, any single target damage commander that doesn't have AoE. So why do you want this? Okay, obviously you're missing out on clarity. That's a really good skill, but 15% all damage is much better than increased skill damage for 6 seconds. And this is why, okay? With how combat works in Rise of Kingdoms, and the reason why you see so many pairings with one AoE commander and one single target commander is that your March actually stays in combat for longer while you have other targets getting hit or hitting AoE. So, for example, okay? Let's say I'm using my Guan Skippy combo. My Guan will use its AoE and I'll be in combat for 5 seconds after each of those targets gets hit. So I could walk away, they could walk away, come back, I could hit another target, it doesn't matter. I'm going to retain my rage for 5 seconds once that AoE goes off. However, if I get hit with an AoE, the same thing happens. I remain in combat. If you are a single target commander, however, and you're hitting one target, if that one target dies, you lose all your rage. In the AoE commander sense, you have those 3 targets that you hit, and now if any of them die, you still have your rage gain or your rage load because 2 of the other commanders are still alive. Does that make sense? I wish I had a practical version to show you. I mean, you can go and watch any of my streams and you can see the AoE commanders stay in combat for longer, especially commanders like Joan of Arc, because you're doing AoE to so many people, especially commanders like YSG or not Thutmose, Zhuge Liang, right? The way that it works is you have 5 seconds once you enter combat, but if the target that you're hitting dies, you lose all your rage. All right, that's a very big tangent for me to say that if you pair Qubing with a single target damage commander, the target that you're going to be hitting is going to die, and then your rage is going to drop. It's your rage, your combat, your everything is going to drop, and ironically, that's what you want with this commander, because then this skill comes back online. All right. If you pair this guy with like a Joan of Arc, then he remains in combat for a long, long, long time, and this commander gets worse the longer he's in combat, ironically. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody? You want this commander, if you're pairing him with a single target damage commander, to go in and out of combat very, very often. You're going to be using this Rallying Cry. You're going to get the most value that you possibly can out of Rallying Cry, and you'll still have Rejuvenate. So ideally, you get 2 skill cycles off before this ends, but most likely not. Most likely, you're going to get 1, but also your target's going to be dead, or you're going to be walking away and resetting your rage. Okay, this was the most complicated part of this video, so sorry if this made absolutely no sense, but this is the real trick with Qubing. I'm not going to go over his talents, or not his talents, his skills. I think you guys already know his kit. Really, really strong active skill factor. I think it's probably the best in the game. I would assume single target wise. I think Nevsky does more damage overall because of his skill damage increase, but this guy definitely pumps. He definitely pumps. The slow is nice. Obviously, it's just poor Saladin power creep. There's really nothing you can do about it. You know, yes, it's a longer slow, but yeah, poor Saladin. Okay, so what have I gone over? I've gone over the commander pairings. I've gone over the talents we use. I've kind of gone over his kit. I've gone over his investment order. I think for the most part, that's it for the guide. I would say, lastly, just to wrap things up, I know that some people really like this guy. I'm not saying he's a bad commander. If you have 2 cav marches and you have not invested into XY yet, you want to invest into Qubing. Period. That's it. That's the end. That's the end all be all. If you have XY and you're short on gold heads, like you've got 200 and the new infantry commander is coming out soon, which you should definitely be getting, like, do not put commander heads into Qubing. He's just not worth it. I love him, but he's just not worth it. And it's a love-hate relationship, all right? I also think the last thing I'm just going to go over is this skill again. I fought a lot this KvK, and I didn't use this commander, but I know that when you're losing a KvK, a lot of times you go into your, people are around you, they're porting in, oh, hey, my gather, and you're just sending your marches out directly to attack somebody. And in that case, this commander sucks. I mean, he is literally bad. He is so much worse than XY. If you're looking for a consistency, man, just go with XY. This commander is good, but he can be skipped. He can definitely be skipped. And then don't even get me started on Justinian. I didn't even unlock him, I think, right? Did I? No, I didn't. I did, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, I've got a whole video for that. Stream highlights, is he a good investment order? I'll link that above me. But my goodness, guys, yeah. Don't invest in this guy. He is worse than Minamoto. So anyway, I hope you guys learned something. It's really, I just wanted to get this out for the talent trees and really the investment order. I've been asked a lot of those questions, even though I know that there are probably a million videos out on it. Either way, I'm in a video making mood. I'm cranking them out. So here you go. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. In the end, invest in them, don't invest in them, whatever. Just make sure you have good gear, good armaments, and you'll do well with, like, City Keeper. So, all right, guys, peace out.